Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe to the video. I would really appreciate it. We've been covering the Jared Bridegan case since the beginning, back in February of 2022, and almost everything that we've predicted has come true on this case so far. They have made another arrest today, and today an arrest was made of Mario Fernandez Saldana. The murder of Jared Bridegan, a Microsoft executive at the time, happened on February 16th, 2022, in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Jared's ex-wife, Shanna, who he had had a very bad relationship with regarding the custody of their children, has since moved to the state of Washington, just about as far away as you can get from Florida. Her husband, who has just been arrested, whose name is Mario Fernandez Saldana, still lives in Florida and was arrested today. So let's listen to the press conference to give you a little bit of a recap, and then I'll pause it and show you on a map exactly what we're talking about here. It's pretty interesting.
To briefly recap, on February 16th, 2022, Jared was driving home from a planned routine date night with his children.
Okay, now let me show you on the map the date night, and he drove the kids back to Shanna Lee Gardner Fernandez's house to drop off the two kids that they shared custody with. So that's right there.
After dropping off his 9-year-old twins at his ex-wife's residence, he headed home with his 2-year-old daughter in a car in the back seat. While driving on a dark stretch of Sanctuary Boulevard in Jacksonville Beach, Jared came across a tire blocking his route of travel. The tire was purposely placed there to make him stop, which he did. Tragically, he began to exit his vehicle to move the tire, and he was gunned down in cold blood.
And here is the tire that was on the ground. It was placed on the ground so that Jared would stop his car and get out. Now let me show you on the map. The kids were dropped off right here, and I guess apparently he took the same route because it's actually probably the quickest way to get back out and head on home. He actually lived down here, so it would have gone this way on 202 down 295 and headed home. So right in this spot right here is where the tire was left on the ground. And as you can see, the car would be coming, then there's a tire on the ground right in this area. And he stopped his car to remove it, and then somebody came out and shot him. Now, one thing that we were able to determine, there must be two people involved. This was early on, because you wouldn't just put a tire out there and assume, okay, he's going to be home and driving by here in 2 or 3 minutes, and put the tire out there. You have to know precisely when he's going to be coming by, because if you put the tire out too early, another person who is not the intended victim will stop and move the tire. So you have to have a lookout, and I think there was probably somebody standing right here. And based on the information we're going to hear today, that sounds like it's Mario, who was the lookout for Jared's vehicle coming and then alerted Tenon to the fact that the car was coming. Now, Tenon is Henry Tenon right here, and what we'll hear in today's press conference is that he is the actual shooter. But I think a lot of times in law enforcement, the actual shooter in a conspiracy case, in a conspiracy to commit murder with multiple people, the people planning it and had the axe to grind with the victim are held to a larger at fault. Okay, they made a deal with Henry Tenon even though he is the shooter, and I totally understand that. So what we were thinking was that right around in this area, perhaps Mario, they had a car, or Tenon's truck was here. There's a blue pickup truck seen driving in the area, but I think they were both in that. So I think Mario may have got out of the vehicle right here as a lookout. And then Henry Tenen was waiting in this area and then got a call or some sort of a signal from Mario up here saying, here he comes, here he comes. Then he puts out the tire, and then Jared comes by and then gets out, removes the tire, and then is shot by Tenen. And then Tenen gets in the truck, drives this way, picks up Mario, and then later we see surveillance footage in various areas. Let me show you these. So right here, there's different surveillance footage. That truck right there, that blue truck, is what they thought was a vehicle of interest. And you can see it moving around in various places. And I've been able to locate all of those areas that are on this surveillance footage. And let me show you where those were. It was right up here. The truck, the pickup truck, drove by right there. Then right here, ironically driving in front of the police station. And then guess what? Look how close Shanna lives right there. And if you're driving by right here, you could possibly have gone this way, but he didn't. The car on surveillance footage goes through this intersection. So where are you going from there? If you were going to head on that freeway, you would have taken a right there. So once the vehicle got here, it could have gone down there, but then you're stuck. So then it's either a right or a left to go back out on that same freeway, which seems unlikely, so you would have taken a left there. And after taking a left there, you notice that her house is right there. So it's likely that the pickup truck then dropped off Mario at that house after the killing, and then the pickup truck likely drove away some other way. Maybe after that came out on the same street, then exited the neighborhood out on the highway. We don't know that part, but I think it's really clear, and it was at the time, to me, that there was two people involved in the shooting. It couldn't have been the wife, because she would be at home and would have had to driven past him. Now, she could have said, okay, he just left. So she could have called Mario to say he's just left, and then that activated the readiness of the other two people, because one needed to be the lookout that he's approaching right now, so that you didn't put the tire out too early and have somebody else stop and remove it, ruining your plan. Okay, so let's get back to that press conference.
Stretch of Sanctuary Boulevard in Jacksonville Beach, Jared came across a tire blocking his route of travel. The tire was purposely placed there to make him stop, which he did. Tragically, he began to exit his vehicle to move the tire, and he was gunned down in cold blood. We are now 13 months since Jared's murder, and we have not stopped working. In late January, we announced the arrest of Henry Tenen on several charges, including conspiracy to commit murder and second-degree murder. Today, we announced the additional arrest of Mario Fernandez Saldana for several charges related to Jared's murder.
Okay, now here is a picture of Shanna and Mario right here. And that's the seat behind him there. It's not a hat. And that's them in the vehicle. And here's another picture of them. Right there. I mean, she looks like she's a shot putter from Yugoslavia. You know, I mean, back in the 80s. I mean, look at this. Okay, so that's Jared's ex-wife. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything is fine. Is it really? This is after the shooting. And this is Jared and his wife. And they were a really loving couple. Had their own child. That was the 2-year-old that they had together. And that child was in the vehicle when Jared was killed after dropping off the two twins, the fraternal twins that he had with his ex-wife, Shanna. And again, he had just left that house and was ambushed intentionally on a darkened portion of a road just before being able to exit out onto the freeway.
Morning, Henry Tenen pled guilty to murdering Jared Bridegan. Specifically, Tenen entered a plea of guilty to second-degree murder with a weapon. Our investigation has revealed a single link between Jared Bridegan and Henry Tenen. That is Mario Fernandez Saldana. As part of Tenon's plea agreement with the state of Florida, he has agreed to testify truthfully against those he worked with to murder Jared Bridegan. As I said at our last update on this matter, we know Henry Tenon did not act alone. And Tenon has confirmed this to be true. Tenon's cooperation has both corroborated evidence collected during the investigation and provided additional evidence against Mario Fernandez Saldana for his role in the planning and execution of Jared's murder. Mario Fernandez Saldana is the husband of Jared Bridegan's ex-wife, Shanna Gardner. Immediately after Tenon's court appearance this morning, the Honorable Linda McCallum signed an arrest warrant for Fernandez Saldana for the charge of second-degree murder. After the warrant was signed, the lead prosecutor on this matter, Assistant State Attorney Christina Stifler, presented Fernandez Saldana's case to a Fourth Circuit grand jury.
Yeah, I was thinking, man, a second-degree murder? This is completely planned. And then she continued on after submitting the case to the grand jury.
And the grand jury has returned an indictment charging Fernandez Saldana with first-degree murder.
And there you go. Boom. That's exactly how it should be. Now, we already know that Tenon, he cut a deal to get second-degree murder, even though he's the actual shooter.
In addition to the first-degree murder charge, the grand jury also has indicted Fernandez Saldana for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, solicitation to commit a capital felony, as well as child abuse. First-degree murder, this is a...
See, basically what I think of it like this, when you have a murder for hire like this, the shooter is really the gun for the person who hired them. Okay, they are the person who had the conspiracy, the hate, the ill will towards somebody, and the other one was the hired gun, just to separate the two. And now there's two people that are going to be charged. He gets second-degree murder, Tenon, and Mario is going to, he could get the death penalty because he's got the first-degree murder. Now, I would use the death penalty now against Mario and say, listen, we'll take the death penalty off the table if you fill us in on what Shanna had to do with it.
Capital felony, punishable by death or mandatory life in prison. Conspiracy to commit murder. Conspiracy to commit murder is a first-degree felony, punishable by up to 30 years in prison. Solicitation to commit a capital felony. This is also a first-degree felony, punishable by up to 30 years in prison. Child abuse. As I told you at the last update, this charge stems from the fact that Kirsten and Jared's then 2-year-old daughter was directly in harm's way when her father was shot and killed in front of her. This is a third-degree felony, punishable by up to 5 years in prison. This morning, as you've heard, while the grand jury was in session, ATF agents, Jacksonville Beach detectives, and the Orange County Sheriff's Office Fugitive Apprehension Team apprehended and arrested Fernandez Saldana in Kissimmee, Florida. He will be extradited to Duval County and go through first appearance upon his return. Our investigation remains active and ongoing, and it has not stopped today with the arrest of Mario Fernandez Saldana. We all remain committed to seeking the truth, and that is the entire truth, and holding accountable every single individual involved in the murder of Jared Bridegan. Henry Tenon was a former tenant of a rental property that Mario Fernandez Saldana owned. Henry Tenon has admitted that he, in fact, was the shooter. I'll reiterate this one thing. This is an active and ongoing criminal investigation. That is, in fact, the exemption under the Florida Public Records Law, in which we've redacted certain information. And in due time, obviously, all of the facts and the evidence, as we know, will become available to all of you. Thank you for coming today.
And there you have it. Mario Fernandez Saldana, the husband of Shanna, the ex-wife of the Microsoft executive Jared Bridegan, has been arrested for murder and conspiracy to commit murder. So a first-degree murder and conspiracy, and Henry Tenon is basically the weapon he used. Henry Tenon has been offered a second degree and a plea deal to come forward with this information that allowed them to arrest Mario Fernandez. Now, I'm sure that now they're going to lean on Mario Fernandez to see if they can get an arrest made of Shanna. So that would mean they might have to be able to take death off the table or offer like a 30 years, 35-year sentence or something like that, because the mastermind, I believe, behind this whole thing is likely Shanna. That's my opinion. Whether that's the case or not, we don't know. It's possible that Mario was just upset about how everything was going and decided to do this on his own, but it doesn't seem like that because of the hatred that Shanna had towards Jared Bridegan. That is the update. Absolutely amazing news. Great job, police department over there. And it was also pretty cool how on this channel, putting the pieces together and the timeline and various pieces of information, the surveillance footage and what was going on and just how it went down, that we were able to determine that likely that Mario, Shanna, and a third person were involved from early on in this case, and it's all starting to come to fruition right now. So thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe button if you want to participate on a channel who looks at the information critically and comes up with likely scenarios that often become true. Oh, and don't forget to watch later this evening when we're going to go back over the affidavit in the Brian Kohberger case from start to finish, so that people that weren't aware of or haven't seen that information since it came out months ago will be able to follow it and understand exactly why Brian Kohberger is the killer in this case, and he's absolutely boxed in, and he is the killer. There's a lot of people out there that just don't want it to be because they always thought it was somebody else, and now there's an arrest made. They got to make it a bigger deal and continue on and on and on and on and on, and it is Brian Kohberger. All right? So thank you very much again for watching, and until next time, everybody, be safe out there.